You know, I'm gonna get a pain in the butt if I keep sitting on this fence much longer. Welcome back to the channel, Book Dragons. I am so glad that you are here with me today. I'm going to be talking about some books or series that I am on the fence about. Before we get to it, you know what to do. As always, like, subscribe, join my Discord, hit me up on Patreon if you want to support me there too. That's cool. But I do want to get right to this list of books. I came up with a list of 12 books. Yes, I don't like the number 10. It needs to be 12. No, I like the number 10 just fine. I just happen to not be satisfied with just 10. So I did 12. And that's how we're doing this. So these are books or series that I just don't know if I really want to read them or not. And some of them it's been this way for a while, others it's just been fairly recently. So we're going to get to it. The first book on this list, after putting on my eyes, is the Red Rising series by Pierce Brown. This series is loved by so many people, and I've seen some negative reviews too. And the negative reviews I've seen have given me enough information to think that maybe this series isn't for me. I like post-apocalyptic stories like The Hunger Games and Divergent, things like that. And I know the first book has been compared to those types of books, but then I've heard it does branch more into your standard sci-fi. Still with a dystopian backdrop, but more of a sci-fi tale. And that's great. I just don't know. I don't know if it'll work for me. The things I've heard, I'm not sure if I'm going to like Darrow as a character, for one, and I am a character-driven reader, so if I don't like Darrow, I'm not going to like the book, most likely. So, I don't know. We'll see about that. The next series on this list is the Skyward series by Brandon Sanderson. Now, I do really like the Cosmere books by Brandon Sanderson, and I've read one other book outside the Cosmere by him that I enjoyed quite a bit, but I just don't know about Skyward. For one thing, I know it's more of a young adult series. The first book is actually kind of more middle grade, I think, and then it branches more into YA. And I'm not opposed to YA, don't get me wrong on that. I love me some really good YA books. Every time I think about picking up the first book, I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't think I'm really in the mood, and I keep doing that. I mean, there have been several occasions where I'm like, okay, do I want to put this on my list for this month? No, I'm going to do something else. So I think that might be an indication that maybe I just don't want to read that series. But let me know in the comments if you think I should still try it. Maybe it'll be one of those that I don't really want to read it, but if somebody really twists my arm, I'll try it out. East of Eden by John Steinbeck. I've had so many people tell me that I need to read John Steinbeck, at least one of his books, and this is the one that comes up the most often. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I know a lot of my booktube friends really, really love John Steinbeck, and especially East of Eden. It seems to be a fan favorite. So I do have it on my want to read list. Time will tell if I actually end up reading it. The next one is The Gentleman Bastards by Scott Lynch. I haven't wanted to read this for a while. I don't know why I put it on my on the fence list. Probably because everybody tells me that I should really at least give it a shot. At least Eliza Lamora, and see if it sticks with me. I just don't know, guys. And the fact that it's an incomplete series, while that doesn't necessarily bother me, right? I love A Song of Ice and Fire, and it's not complete. I love the King Killer Chronicles. It's not complete. But to start an incomplete series that I'm very mixed on doesn't bode well for me, I don't think. So yeah, that's another one. The Books of Babel by Josiah Bancroft. I've had Sending the Sense on my Kindle since before it was picked up by a traditional publisher. And I know there have been changes, so maybe I should actually pick up the traditionally published version if I decide to go ahead and read it. But I hear enough mixed reviews about it that I just don't know if it's worth my time to try reading it. A lot of people I respect really love this series, so respect doesn't mean I'm going to read it, but I respect them enough to know that it may be something that I am missing out on, so I guess we'll see. The Poppy War series by R.F. Kuang. I'm leaning towards a strong maybe on this one. I hear a lot of good things. I hear some not so good things. And I just don't know, guys. I don't know if this is really something I want to invest my time in. I love dark fantasy. I love grimdark fantasy, and I've heard it is considered grimdark. But I don't know. I do want to branch out and read more Asian fantasy and read more ethnic fantasy in general. But there's others that I know of that I think I kind of want to read more. So I don't know. I don't think I'll be reading this one, at least not anytime soon. The Licanius trilogy by James Islington. Islington? Islington? I always said Islington, but then in Neverwhere, one of the characters' names is spelled the same way, and Neil Gaiman pronounced that Islington on the audiobook. So which one do I go with? Anyway, that's all out of there. I know a lot of people that love the Licanius trilogy. I think I might like it, but I just don't know. Maybe this is one of those where I should put it on a speed dating video and read the first paragraph or so, to see if it really clicks with me. Because those books are chunky, guys. I'm not opposed to a chunky book, but 3 big chunky books that I don't know a whole lot about other than reviews I've heard, which are mixed. I mean, I've heard good, I've heard bad, so we'll see. Maybe one of these days I'll get around to the Licanius trilogy. The Count of Monte Cristo. Guys, I've been on the fence with this one for a long time. A long time. I love the movie adaptation, and I know that doesn't do it justice. I'm just kind of wondering if that's good enough for me, or if I really need to read the novel. I know there's an abridged version out there. I will not touch the abridged version. If I'm going to read it, I'm going to read the full, unedited tome. And it is a tome, guys. It's like 1,100 some pages. I'm like, oh my god! But, I don't know. I like the story. I already know I like the story, but I don't know. We shall see. The Threadlight series by Zach Argyle. I've heard this one compared to Mistborn a lot. I've heard a lot of people compare it to that. A similar magic system, and it's a self-published series, which I do want to support more self-pub authors. I just don't know if it's going to be that good of a series beyond the covers. The covers are pretty. I love the covers. I'm totally sold on it if it was just based on the covers. But I don't know. I've heard some really good positives, and I've heard some really negative negatives. So I don't know which way to land on this one, guys. Maybe you can tell me what you think if this is worth my time. The Fractalverse by Christopher Paolini. And this is technically a series, even though I think each book is standalone so far. You've got To Sleep in a Sea of Stars, and you've got Fractal Noise. Every time I think about picking these books up to read them, I decide to put it on the back burner. Oh, maybe I'll pick up To Sleep in a Sea of Stars this month. And no, I'm not going to do that this month. I'll save it for another month. I keep pushing it back and pushing it back, and I don't know why. I really enjoyed The Inheritance Cycle. Those were really good books. They weren't great books, but they were good books. And so I already know I liked his writing style in those books. I just don't know how I feel about him writing sci-fi. Is it good, guys? Is it really worth my time picking up those books. I don't feel like I'm going to be a completionist with Christopher Paolini. I don't know, you tell me. The Saxons series by Bernard Cornwell. I really, really loved the Warlord Chronicles. But then again, I love Arthurian legend. So maybe I like the Warlord Chronicles because I like Arthurian legend. I'm not really a huge fan of historical fiction. Anglo-Saxon history does interest me, but it's not something I would just pick up all the time, so I don't know. It's a long series too. I think there's 10 books or more, right? I have not watched The Last Kingdom. I know The Last Kingdom is based on that book series, and I've heard it's really good. So maybe that's one of those where I should try out the first season of the show to see if I like it. And then if I like it, read the books. What do you think? What do you think, guys? Let me know in the comments. And the final one on this list is Lightbringer. And I'm not talking Pierce Brown. We're not talking Pierce Brown's Lightbringer. We're talking Lightbringer by Brent Weeks. I am really intrigued by the magic system having to do with colored prisms. I think that's cool. And this one's been out a long time. I've had it on my list for a long time. I have really good friends that say, Chaz, you're going to love the Lightbringer series. And maybe I will. I don't know. But I'm still on the fence about it. So, that is 12 books or series that I just don't know if I'm going to read or not. Let me know in the comments some of your thoughts on these books. What are some of the books that you have been on the fence about for a long time? Let me know that in the comments as well. And I think that's it. Make sure you guys read more books. I'll be talking with you real soon.